Welcome back to WiserReads, the channel where timeless wisdom meets modern life, one book at a time. Today, we're diving into a book that's over 2,500 years old, yet more relevant than ever, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. But don't let the title fool you. This isn't just a manual for generals and soldiers. It's a masterpiece of strategy, decision-making, and human psychology. Whether you're navigating the boardroom, personal challenges, or your own thoughts, Sun Tzu offers powerful tools to think smarter and act with intention. Brain. Imagine winning battles without fighting, turning your weaknesses into strengths, and outsmarting opponents without them ever seeing it coming. That's what this ancient Chinese classic teaches. And in this summary, we're pulling out the most practical, thought-provoking insights just for you. So if you're ready to upgrade your mental playbook and lead your life with more strategy, clarity, and confidence, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss another life-changing read here on WiserReads. Let's explore the art of winning wisely. Let's get into The Art of War. Chapter 1. Laying Plans. Strategic Assessment. In the opening chapter of The Art of War, Sun Tzu lays the foundation for all successful conflict management, strategic assessment. He insists that war is not to be taken lightly, as it determines the survival or destruction of a nation, or, by extension, any serious endeavor. Therefore, careful planning is essential before any action is taken. Sun Tzu outlines 5 key factors that must be considered and compared when evaluating a situation. The way, Tao, unity of purpose between leaders and followers. If people are aligned with their leaders' values, they will follow them through hardship. Heaven, external conditions like weather, time, and climate, factors beyond human control. Earth, physical terrain, distances, danger zones, and the advantages or disadvantages of various locations. The commander, the leader's wisdom, credibility, courage, and discipline. Method and discipline. Organizational structure, logistics, resource management, and chain of command. By carefully analyzing and comparing these factors between one's own side and the opponent's, a commander can predict victory or defeat even before conflict begins. Sun Tzu also emphasizes the importance of deception in warfare. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. Mislead the enemy, create confusion, and strike when least expected. Ultimately, this chapter teaches that success is not random. It is the result of deep thinking, calculated moves, and understanding both yourself and your enemy. Chapter 2. Waging War. In this chapter, Sun Tzu shifts focus from planning to execution, emphasizing the economic and human cost of war. He warns that war is not only a matter of strategy, but also a heavy burden on a nation's resources. Therefore, leaders must be wise and efficient when deciding to go to battle. Sun Tzu argues that prolonged warfare is dangerous. The longer a war drags on, the more it drains a state's finances, morale, and manpower. Even a victorious army can collapse under the weight of exhaustion and depleted supplies. Thus, the goal should always be quick and decisive victories. To achieve this, Sun Tzu highlights the importance of preparing well and striking fast. The faster a conflict is resolved, the fewer the losses. Time is a critical factor. Delays can be as costly as defeats. A key insight in this chapter is that the enemy's resources are often more useful than your own. Rather than destroying them, capture and reuse enemy provisions, weapons, and supplies. This reduces your own burden and strengthens your position. Sun Tzu also stresses the value of discipline and command structure. Chaos within the army leads to failure. Strong leadership ensures unity, speed, and focus. Ultimately, waging war teaches that victory is not about brute strength or endless fighting. It is about efficiency, speed, and minimizing cost. A wise commander doesn't seek glory through battle, but through winning with the least sacrifice possible. Chapter 3. Attack by Stratagem. In this powerful chapter, Sun Tzu explains that the highest form of warfare is not through brute force, but through strategy. The ultimate goal is to win without fighting, by defeating the enemy's plans and breaking their resistance mentally and structurally before a single blow is struck. Sun Tzu outlines a hierarchy of strategic victory. Defeat the enemy's strategy, disrupt their alliances, attack their army, besiege their cities, which should be a last resort as it drains time, resources, and morale. A wise commander aims to subdue the enemy in the most efficient, least destructive way possible. Victory without destruction is ideal. He stresses that understanding both yourself and your enemy is essential. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. But if you lack that insight, defeat becomes far more likely. Sun Tzu also emphasizes the value of unity and leadership. Divided armies fall, while disciplined forces under a strong leader thrive. Great leaders win through calculated strategies, not emotional reactions. Importantly, he warns against overconfidence. Large numbers alone don't guarantee victory. A smaller, well-led force, well-informed, can easily overcome a larger, disorganized one. In essence, this chapter teaches that true victory is won in the mind before swords are ever drawn. The art of war is the art of mental dominance, preparation, and foresight. The greatest commanders are those who make war unnecessary by ensuring they've already won through brilliant planning. Chapter 4. Tactical Dispositions. Positioning. In this chapter, Sun Tzu explores the concept of strategic positioning, how a commander can place their army in a position of strength before battle even begins. He emphasizes that the key to success is not in seeking victory directly, but first making your own position unassailable. A wise general secures his defenses so that defeat is impossible, then waits patiently for the right moment when the enemy exposes a weakness. In short, protect yourself first, then seize opportunity. Sun Tzu distinguishes between defensive excellence and offensive timing. Good positioning ensures safety. Great strategy transforms safety into victory. Importantly, he states that skillful warriors win first, then go to war, while unskilled ones enter battle hoping to win. This highlights the value of preparation, foresight, and disciplined planning. Victory, he says, is determined before the battle, not during it. Another key lesson is that relying on fixed methods is dangerous. There are no formulas for victory. Every situation is unique. Flexibility and awareness are essential. Sun Tzu also stresses that strength doesn't lie in numbers alone. A smaller, well-positioned, and well-led army can defeat a larger, poorly positioned one. Terrain, morale, and timing all matter more than brute force. Ultimately, this chapter teaches that true power comes from readiness, control, and the ability to adapt. The commander who masters positioning can shape the course of battle without being forced to fight on unfavorable terms.
Chapter 5. Energy. Directing Forces. In this chapter, Sun Tzu explores how to effectively organize and direct military energy to gain maximum advantage in battle. He explains that victory is not solely about strength, but about how that strength is applied. Sun Tzu distinguishes between two types of force: direct, ordinary force, straightforward attacks meant to engage the enemy head-on; indirect, extraordinary force, surprise tactics, deception, feints, and strategic maneuvers that disorient the opponent. He teaches that effective generals combine both types of force, using direct force to fix the enemy's attention, while using indirect force to gain the advantage. Success lies in the creative, flexible application of these forces, not in predictable repetition. Sun Tzu compares military energy to nature, like flowing water that avoids the high ground and seeks the low, or like a hawk that waits for the perfect moment to streak. The goal is to apply force where the enemy is weakest, not where they are prepared. He also emphasizes the power of coordination and unity. A well-structured army, even if small, can defeat a larger disorganized one. The general's role is to align the army's energy, directing it like a tightly drawn bow or a carefully unleashed catapult. Ultimately, this chapter teaches that true military power comes not from numbers, but from discipline, timing, adaptability, and efficient use of force. The commander who knows how to harness and direct energy with precision, balancing strength and subtlety, can control the battlefield before a single strike is made.
Chapter 6. Weak Points and Strong. In this chapter, Sun Tzu teaches that victory depends not just on power, but on perception and positioning. The key to winning is to strike where the enemy is unprepared and to move in ways the enemy cannot anticipate. Sun Tzu emphasizes that all armies, no matter how strong, have vulnerabilities. A skilled commander doesn't attack head-on. Instead, they probe, observe, and exploit the enemy's weak spots. Likewise, they guard their own weaknesses and make their strengths appear invisible. He compares warfare to the flow of water, which avoids obstacles and seeks the path of least resistance. In battle, this means adapting your movements to the situation, staying flexible, and avoiding predictability. Sun Tzu warns against routine. Repeating tactics allows the enemy to anticipate your next move. Instead, he advises using variation, deception, and surprise to confuse and outmaneuver the opponent. The more unpredictable you are, the harder you are to defeat. Another key point is letting the enemy make the first move. A wise general stays hidden, reveals nothing, and waits for the opponent to act rashly, then seizes the opportunity. Rather than focusing on brute strength, this chapter encourages a mindset of strategic patience, careful observation, and clever maneuvering. The idea is to control the battlefield without being seen, to force the enemy into positions where they are weakest while maintaining your advantage. Ultimately, Sun Tzu teaches that the art of war lies in making your position invincible while exposing the enemy's, turning imbalance into victory through insight and timing.
Chapter 7. Maneuvering. In this chapter, Sun Tzu explores the vital role of maneuvering, the art of moving and positioning troops efficiently to gain the upper hand in battle. Maneuvering is not just physical movement, but a dynamic strategic tool to confuse, outwit, and outflank the enemy. Sun Tzu emphasizes that successful maneuvering requires flexibility and adaptability. Rigid or predictable movements make armies vulnerable to counterattacks and ambushes. In contrast, agile forces can respond quickly to changing circumstances and exploit enemy weaknesses. He highlights that good commanders know how to balance speed and caution. Moving too fast without preparation risks disorder, while moving too slowly gives the enemy time to prepare defenses or countermeasures. Effective maneuvering involves precise timing and coordinated actions across all units. Sun Tzu also stresses the importance of maintaining troop morale and discipline during maneuvers. Confusion and fatigue can lead to chaos, so commanders must ensure clear communication and strong leadership. Moreover, maneuvering often involves deception and feints to mislead the enemy about your true intentions. By creating uncertainty, a commander can manipulate enemy movements, forcing them into disadvantageous positions. He warns of the dangers during maneuvers, such as losing contact between units, supply line vulnerabilities, or falling into traps. A skilled general anticipates these risks and plans accordingly. Ultimately, this chapter teaches that maneuvering is the bloodline of effective warfare. Mastery of movement, combined with strategy, timing, and discipline, allows an army to control the battlefield, conserve strength, and achieve victory with minimal losses.
Chapter 8. Variation in Tactics. The 9 Variations. In this chapter, Sun Tzu discusses the importance of flexibility and adaptation in warfare. He explains that no single tactic works in all situations. Instead, a skilled commander must be able to adjust strategies based on the ever-changing conditions of the battlefield. Sun Tzu introduces the concept of the 9 variations, which represent different scenarios a commander might face. Each variation requires a tailored approach, demonstrating the need for dynamic thinking and responsiveness rather than rigid plans. The 9 variations include situations such as dispersed formations, congested positions, attack and defense balances, difficult terrain, deep enemy territory, dangerous ground, different levels of enemy strength. In each case, the commander must assess the conditions carefully and choose tactics that exploit the enemy's weaknesses while protecting their own forces. Sun Tzu stresses that predictability is the enemy of success. Repeating the same moves allows the opponent to anticipate and counter them. Instead, varying tactics keeps the enemy off balance and creates opportunities for decisive victories. The chapter also highlights the significance of seizing the initiative and acting with speed. Delays or hesitation can allow the enemy to regroup or fortify positions, turning the tide against you.
Chapter 9. The Army on the March. In this chapter, Sun Tzu provides practical guidance for commanders on how to manage and interpret the movements of an army on the march. This phase is crucial because the army is vulnerable during transit and must maintain discipline, morale, and readiness. Sun Tzu explains that understanding the signs from the environment, the troops, and the enemy can reveal valuable information about the current state of the campaign. For example, the behavior of the soldiers, the condition of the terrain, and even the movement of wildlife can indicate whether the army is advancing under favorable or adverse conditions. He advises commanders to watch for certain telltale signs. The condition of the soldiers' spirits and appearance indicates morale. The type of terrain being crossed can offer advantages or pose risks. Observing the enemy's camp, movement, and setup can reveal their strength or weaknesses. Sun Tzu also discusses the importance of setting up camps strategically during the march. Camps should be located to maximize defensive strength and logistical support while minimizing exposure to enemy attacks or natural hazards. Furthermore, communication and control are vital. The army must move as a cohesive unit, maintaining clear lines of command and avoiding confusion or fragmentation. The chapter emphasizes that an army on the march should always be alert and adaptable, ready to respond quickly to changes in terrain, enemy movements, or unexpected obstacles. Ultimately, Sun Tzu teaches that successful commanders use every piece of information gleaned during the march to make informed decisions, ensuring their army remains strong, cohesive, and prepared for the coming battles.
Chapter 10. Terrain. The 9 Grounds. In this chapter, Sun Tzu categorizes the battlefield into 9 types of terrain, or grounds, each with distinct characteristics that influence military strategy and tactics. Understanding these terrains is crucial for commanders to adapt their plans and maximize their chances of victory. The 9 grounds include dispersive ground, terrain where troops are close to home and among friendly people. The risk is low, but complacency can be dangerous. Facile ground, easy to traverse, offering quick movement but little defensive advantage. Contentious ground, strategic locations both sides want to control, often contested fiercely. Open ground, accessible terrain with no natural barriers where forces can maneuver freely. Ground of intersecting highways, areas where multiple routes converge, crucial for controlling movement. Serious ground, enemy's territory where forces are committed and supply lines are stretched. Difficult ground, terrain that is hard to navigate, mountains, swamps, or dense forests where supply and movement are challenging. Hemmed-in ground, locations where forces are trapped with limited escape routes. Desperate ground, positions where survival depends entirely on fighting to the death, no option for retreat. Sun Tzu emphasizes that each type of terrain demands different tactics. For example, on desperate ground, troops fight with maximum courage because there's no escape, while on facile ground, mobility and speed are prioritized. He also stresses that a wise commander assesses the terrain thoroughly before engaging, using the natural advantages offered and avoiding pitfalls that could lead to disaster. Ultimately, understanding and adapting to terrain is essential for controlling the battlefield. By mastering the 9 grounds, a commander gains the strategic insight necessary to turn environment into advantage and secure victory.
Chapter 11. The 9 Situations. In this chapter, Sun Tzu outlines 9 common situations, or types of ground, where armies may find themselves during a campaign. Each situation presents unique challenges and requires specific strategies for success. Understanding these helps commanders make informed decisions and adapt to changing circumstances on the battlefield. The 9 situations include dispersive ground, where troops are close to home, often leading to complacency and the risk of desertion. Leaders must maintain discipline. Facile ground, easy terrain, offering mobility but little defense, demanding swift and decisive action. Contentious ground, critical strategic points both sides desire, often the focus of fierce battles. Open ground, where both armies can maneuver freely, requiring skillful positioning. Intersecting ground, areas where multiple routes converge, crucial for controlling movements and supply lines. Serious ground, enemy territory where forces are committed and supply lines stretched, increasing risk. Difficult ground, challenging terrain like mountains or swamps, limiting movement and complicating logistics. Hemmed-in ground, areas with limited escape routes where forces can be trapped or ambushed. Desperate ground, positions where troops must fight fiercely for survival as retreat is impossible. Sun Tzu emphasizes that commanders must assess the nature of the ground carefully and adjust tactics accordingly, whether to defend, attack, retreat, or negotiate. Success lies in recognizing which situation applies and responding swiftly and wisely.
Chapter 12. The Attack by Fire. In this chapter, Sun Tzu discusses the strategic use of fire as a weapon in warfare, highlighting its power and the careful planning required to employ it effectively. Fire represents a destructive force that can disrupt,
demoralize, and damage the enemy, but it must be used with precision and timing. Sun Tzu identifies 5 ways to use fire in attack: setting fire to soldiers' camps and supplies, burning transport and supply lines, targeting weapons and equipment, using fire to create confusion and panic among the enemy, setting fire to the enemy's fortifications or terrain. The chapter emphasizes that fire attacks can cause chaos far beyond physical destruction. They undermine morale and can quickly turn the tide of battle. However, fire is also unpredictable and dangerous. Poorly controlled fire can harm your own troops or cause unintended consequences. Sun Tzu stresses the importance of understanding weather conditions like wind direction and speed before launching a fire attack. The wind must be favorable to carry the flames toward the enemy. Timing and environmental awareness are crucial to maximize effectiveness and minimize risk. He also points out that fire attacks should be part of a broader strategy, combined with other tactics to overwhelm the enemy comprehensively. Fire alone rarely wins a war, but can create opportunities when used at the right moment. Ultimately, this chapter teaches that using the environment as a weapon, such as fire, is a powerful force multiplier. Commanders who master this technique can disrupt enemy plans, destroy critical resources, and weaken opposition without prolonged direct combat.
Thank you for listening to our summary of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. This ancient masterpiece offers timeless lessons on strategy, leadership, and decision-making that extend far beyond the battlefield. Through understanding your strengths and weaknesses, adapting to changing circumstances, and thinking several steps ahead, you can gain an edge in any challenge you face, whether in business, relationships, or personal growth. Sun Tzu's wisdom reminds us that success is not just about force, but about careful planning, flexibility, and insight. By mastering these principles, you empower yourself to navigate complex situations with confidence and clarity. If you found value in this summary, make sure to subscribe to WiserReads for more insightful book summaries that help you learn faster and live smarter. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Join our community of knowledge seekers and share your thoughts in the comments. What lesson from The Art of War resonated most with you? Also tell us which book you want us to summarize next. Together, let's unlock the power of wisdom, one book at a time. See you in the next video on WiserReads.